Hey, Run Try Bike community. Welcome to a special episode of the Run Try Bike Fireside Chat. Normally, we do these on Tuesday, but as many of you know, Ohm was just getting back from the Moab 240 event. I had just gotten back the day before, and honestly, we were exhausted. And it's our company, we can do whatever we want. So we kicked the can down the road and coming to you live today on Tuesday, October 17th. One of the things that we want to talk to you guys about is you guys. And the reason we want to do that is because we don't have the Run Try Bike community that we have. We don't have the Everyday Athlete podcast network that we have if it wasn't for you guys. Thank you very much for showing up on a daily basis and showing us that what we are doing is helping you reach your training goals as well as racing goals. And so I really appreciate you showing up on a daily basis. And with that, wanted to go over a little bit of what has transpired in 2024 and what we're looking forward to in 2025. But before I do that, let's talk to Ohm for a minute. He went after the Triple Crown this year, big events, including 300 miles at Across the Years, plus Antelope Canyon 100 miler. We're going to be talking about DNFs beyond the finish line with Joe Harden on the 24th. So I don't want to talk about that. What I'd like to talk to you about, Ohm, before we jump into our audience numbers is how much have you been sleeping, dude?
Not enough. I'm still trying to get back into a normal sleep rhythm. You are out at odd hours during these races, so my body is still trying to figure things out. Throw travel on top of that, and uh, you throw travel on top of that, and just the body trying to figure things out, and you've got like a weird sleep sandwich. So not quite there yet, but getting there.
Speaking of sandwiches, how much are you eating? And what has been the best thing you've eaten since you've gotten off the race course?
Oh man, well, if you asked me a couple days ago, I would say the best thing I've eaten is the fact that I was able to eat. We'll talk a bit more about that next week. And yeah, there'll be a lot more on that in my Enjoying the Journey series, which is also on our website as well. But I would say being able to have that pizza that we had on Monday was the first time food actually tasted appetizing after everything.
Let it be known that he did not put pineapple on that pizza either. Just letting it be known.
Yeah, to be fair, we asked for ranch too, and that was also a big no.
Also a
Um,
big no. No
but
ranch.
but it was, to be fair, it wasn't. It did seem like an Italian style place, and to be fair, like I'm not a monster. Like I'm not gonna go and ask for pineapple at an Italian place, just like I wouldn't ask for them to cut my spaghetti or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't even have to say no to ranch at that restaurant. The waitress was like, nah, we don't do that here, man.
A big shocker in Moab, middle of nowhere.
No kidding. You mentioned our website. So in the intro, we talked about thanking the audience for supporting us. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about is our website. This year, up until today, which is October 17th, versus the same time frame in 2023, the number of users to our site on a yearly basis or year-to-date basis is up nearly 92%. Last I checked this morning. That's phenomenal. Like plus 92% in terms of users coming to our site. What do you attribute that to? Why do you think that we're getting more people there?
I think it's just people showing up for their people and real human stories. We keep it authentic and we keep it real. Our stories aren't very long; they're 2 to 3 minutes long. There's a story for everybody because our community is built on the idea that or I should even say the truth, that everybody has a place at the start line. Everybody with everybody. And so, if you're even looking at it from the numbers perspective, like if you are telling the story of 99% of people, then you are going to bring 99% of people, the 99% to your websites. And you're going to bring the people that are friends of those people because everybody has human relationships. And I know that when I first had my story published on this website 3 years ago, before I was an owner in the business, one of the first stories I've ever seen of my journey ever published, I was excited to share it with everybody that I knew. And I believe that there's a similar phenomenon happening where you have that, and those people are then being encouraged to tell their stories as well. And it's just sort of an effect like that.
Yeah, the maths there, right? In all honesty. And I think the other part of it too is trust. The people that are sharing their story with us trust us because we share our vulnerabilities with them too. We've talked about, for me personally, we've talked about my alcohol abuse. We've talked about my disordered eating scenario, that I've been divorced. Go back, I've dealt with the loss of both of my parents, one when I was 23 years old and one in earlier this year, in May of this year. I'll be 51. So I had my mother for 28 years after my father passed. And so we share those things with the people that we're interviewing for our stories, and we share them with our audience on our social media platforms. And I think that creates a trust with them, between us and them, I should say, and allows them to open up to us about the things that have transpired in their life and how they use social media, not social media, how they use endurance sports to help deal with the traumas of life that they have gone through.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, endurance sports is just one facet of who we are. And I think when we realized that we are just telling human stories using endurance sports as a conduit, we really discovered our voice, and not really discovered our voice, but rather amplified the voice of the people in our community. And you're right about vulnerability. I mean, from my perspective, like telling my story of alcoholism, telling the story of my obesity, talking about mental health, has really opens up the barrier. Instead of making them feel like they're talking to a reporter or they're just talking to a wall, that realize that they're talking to another human being that genuinely cares about their story. And I'm just so amazed and inspired by how powerful the people in our audience are when they tell their story. And I walk in there and it starts out with a few simple sentences and turns into big revelations, and it turns into tears and laughs. And uh man, I just we get some incredible stories, and I'm just so grateful to hear the ones that I hear and see the ones that Jason gets as well, when I see the articles that are posted on the platform or the conversations that are had.
I don't think people understand um, that we as owners don't read every article that the other person is putting together. And so we are just like them when a new article comes out that you've written, or maybe you've worked with somebody else like Elliot. Pardon me. Elliot writes for us or Joe Harden writes for us. Like, you're getting that article and you're uploading it onto our site. I don't see it until the day it gets published. And so I'm just like every other member of our audience when that comes out. It's like, whoa, man. And it hits home in a way that I can relate to the public and their reaction to it, because I haven't read it before. I didn't see it beforehand. And even though I have access to it, I think I'm purposely now not reading it so I can feel like I'm seeing something new for the first time when I read an article that comes either that you've written, like I said, or has come from somebody that you're connected to who's writing on our behalf.
Yeah, it's so exciting going on Threads or the website or something and seeing articles or uh and subjects that I haven't had a chance to talk to, but I've heard, from Jason, when we communicate almost every week, talk almost every day on the business, and I'll hear it in passing and then see the article, and I'm just blown away by the stories that we get on our platform. And um, I'm even more so just blown away by the way then these people endorse what we do with our platform. And I want to ask you, like, have you, we've recently been getting a lot of amazing feedback on our platform. Are sometimes, I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, it's damn hard. We talked about it being a business owner. Like, sometimes it's damn hard. Like, we love what we do, but Jason and I both have days where it gets rough. And so before I answer it myself, I want to ask you, have you seen any messages or feedback recently that have really kind of turned things around for you when you've kind of had the imposter syndrome or just been dealing with just the small losses and wins and losses, the roller coaster that is called being a small business owner?
So I got a notification today from LinkedIn that said, congratulations on your 4-year anniversary of working at Run Try Bike. So if we do the math, that is 1,460 days of imposter syndrome, folks. Literally every day I wake up and I'm like, we're not good enough. We're not doing enough. We're not talking to enough people. We're not posting enough. We're not writing enough. Like nothing is ever enough. And the imposter syndrome is there and it has been there from day one. And I think to answer your question, pardon me while I get slightly emotional, is today, Kristen, Jenny, and I were working on an article for our site that'll be coming out in about a week. And I thanked her for writing for us and for bringing such great stories to light. And one of the things that she replied back with was, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share the stories of the people that I'm sharing the stories of. And that's a twofold scenario for me. One is the story of an athlete whose story wouldn't be told if it wasn't for our platform. And then two, Kristen, Jenny having the opportunity to write that story because of our platform. And it's in those moments where I get uplifted beyond measure, in all honesty. It can literally pull me out of some of the lowest of lows when we get that. And it's been crazy. You and I have talked about this. I would say in the last 90 days, the number of people that are telling us about the story they read or thanking us for the community that we've built or asking to come on one of our shows that we have, it blows me away. It absolutely blows me away. Like this was, people say it all the time when they start a business and 3, 4, 5 years later, like I never would have envisioned this. That is the truth. 0% chance that what we see today is what I had envisioned 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's got to be absolutely phenomenal from the day the idea was conceived in the Mexican Chamber of Commerce to where you are now. A story which, by the way, I've heard many times due to our many sales calls. And it's always described the same way, and I love that. But and even for me, like from the day like I told my story to the day we agreed that I would do the social media to the day I became an owner in a group, like it's just phenomenal the changes that have happened in this business and the way that we have built it's this organic amazing community thanks to you, the everyday athlete. I mean, I there was a message. So we did our last digital magazine included a story of the amazing Josh Fernandez. They are amazing runner who just an incredible story. I would highly encourage you to go back to that digital magazine, going to runtrymag.com/links, or subscribing to our newsletter, maybe both. But Josh left the most amazing testimonial for us, and I just absolutely have to read what this person wrote. They said, I want to thank Om Gandhi, Jason Balmundi, and Run Try Bike for their unwavering support and for creating a space that truly champions undeserved voices. Run Try Bike goes above and beyond in highlighting diverse stories within the endurance athletic community. I felt seen, heard, and supported when sharing my own story, and it's clear that this platform genuinely values the breadth and scope of experiences that often go unrecognized. Their commitment to amplifying voices traditionally left out of the conversation is both refreshing and necessary. I'm grateful for the compassion and care shown throughout the entire process. Now, there's a part in there that we've heard very often in our testimonials and is very important to us, and that is being seen, like being felt seen, being recognized. And we've heard that quite a few times, especially in the last 90 days. Thank you for seeing us. Tell me what that means to you as somebody who is a Puerto Rican kid from the Bronx, who does not whose community does not traditionally participate in endurance sports. Tell me what it means for you to be the person who is helping others be recognized and be seen.
That's a great question. And I think my reaction to Robert Rodriguez expressing that he's a Puerto Rican kid from the Bronx and we did the fireside chat is really all you need. So for anybody who hasn't seen that episode, go to our YouTube channel, because you can hear it in my voice if you listen to it on the podcast. But I think if you see my reaction to it, you realize that I'm one of the unseen voices. And so when Robert Rodriguez said that he was like me, I felt seen. And so it just means the world to me because I know it means the world to them, meaning the people who don't feel seen in this space. And here's my frustration with all of this, Ohm. It's not hard to stop and listen to somebody else. It's not hard. Like, you don't have to interject into every single conversation, your gatekeeping around these sports. Like, you don't tell somebody they're not fast enough, or they're not skinny enough, or they're not strong enough, or they're not whatever enough. Just listen to them. Listen to what they have to say. You might actually learn something from them. And then what happens is people feel seen, they feel heard, and then they want to participate more. And then all of a sudden, there's all these great stories, and there's all these great moments, and there's these great opportunities to sit down after a hard training run, swim, or ride, or a hard race to chit chat with each other. Look, we were in Moab and we sat around a fire with 5 or 6 other people. And every one of those people was from a different background. And every one of those people was telling stories. Now, just imagine if they would have said to you, look, Indian kids, they're not allowed here. They don't run fast enough. They're not tall enough. They're not whatever enough. You miss out on that opportunity. But more importantly, the 4 or 5 other people listening to your story miss out on that too. And that's why I think it's so important that we listen to each other, that we let the subject of our conversation, the interview, be heard, and then amplify the hell out of it. Put it on TikTok, put it on Instagram, put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter, post it on YouTube, put it in the podcast. Let's amplify it, because there's a person out there who's wondering if they can run 1 mile, let alone 100 miles. There's a person out there wondering if they should learn how to swim as an adult, let alone participate in a triathlon. There's a person out there who fell off their bike and is scared beyond belief about getting back on. But if they hear or see the stories that we're sharing, they'll be inspired and motivated to do it. And I think that's why it's so important for us to make sure those people are seen and they're heard.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, I know that when I was doing my first quarter of a mile, when I was trying to figure out how to get into the sport, I was looking around for if this is something I could actually do, if for people like me who could do something like this, um, looking for any sort of encouragement that I was capable of running a 5K, that I was capable of running for 15, 20 minutes at a time. And uh, I just think that there's power in being able to find the blueprint or find the story of the person who has been through maybe not similar circumstances, but comes from a similar background, comes from a similar disability, comes from a comes from a similar struggle in life. And I think that there's value in that, in being people being able to see themselves within the sport. And to all the gatekeepers, like, I just, none of that shit really matters. It really doesn't. Nobody, I say this all the time and I stand by it. Like, you know, I believe that joy is limitless, and I believe in celebrating all of achievements. And I think that it's phenomenal when I see like somebody has gotten a marathon personal best or has beaten their time in a triathlon by 10 minutes or something like that, but at the end of the day, I believe the things that matter the most, that should be valued the most, are how you make a person feel. That when we're on our deathbed, like when I'm on my deathbed, I know that I'm not going to remember like I'm not going to remember 2013, or like 2023, like when I did like a 1643 on like a 5K or something like that, which would be a fucking amazing time. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to remember that on my deathbed. I am going to remember how it inspired someone or how it made somebody feel. And uh, we want to be the platform that does that and helps people do that and pay it forward in that way. Like, uh, we want to bring feelings, if that makes sense, and help people express vulnerability and feel seen and feel heard and help others do the same as well. And that I want that to be the legacy of this business.
I think the other part, and you alluded to a little bit there, is joy. So for me, the word's fun, right? Endurance sports should be fun. Endurance sports shouldn't cause us so much anxiety and stress that we lose sight of our why, that we lose the reason for us putting on running shoes in the first place. I interviewed Laura Becker a couple of weeks ago, and we were having this conversation about gatekeeping and all of these things. And I made a comment in passing, which was, I can't imagine that there is anybody in this world that has their ultra sign up on their tombstone, meaning like the results of every race that they've ever done or the DNF that occurred. Like that's not going on your tombstone. So don't get so stressed out about it. Don't beat yourself up about these sports. Go and have fun, have a laugh, share a story. Yes, you want to train hard. Yes, you want to perform your best. But there are some days where you're not feeling it. And you know what? Take it easy. Run a little bit slower with somebody that you may not have run with before because your training called for, whatever, tempo pace, and now you're not feeling it, so you're going to run an easy pace, and that easy pace might be somebody else's tempo pace, and you can help them with it. And now you've just created a memory which um, brings about a story at some point. And I think that's where we need to get. And I'll tell a really quick story here. I was racing Grasslands 50 miler, and I wound up running 54 miles because my navigation skills are so awesome. I missed a turn a couple of times, but I caught up to a young lady and I was running on her heels. And I said to her, I am not going to let you fall behind me, because she was worried about missing a cutoff. And so I literally ran on her heels, and she was like, you're going to have to go around me because I can't make it. And I said, well, I'm going to go finish and I'm going to come back out for you. And so I ran and I finished the race, and I went back out and found her, and I pushed her to get to the finish of that third loop or second loop. She had one more loop to go, just in time to go back out there. This happened like 12 years ago, but I still have that story, that helping somebody else achieve their goal. And Helen, if you're listening, congratulations on finishing that race.
I think that's an incredible story, and it just exemplifies the importance of like making those memories and helping others achieve their success. Man, I can't stress this enough. Like I heard this and we talked about this. I heard this in Book of Joy, and it could not have been put so much better than the way the Dalai Lama put it. But like, I mean, success and joy are not a sum zero thing. Like somebody else succeeding in a race or succeeding in something in life does not take away anything from you. Joy is limitless, and there's enough for everybody in this world. And there's no damn reason in the world. This goes back to, you should be gatekeeping. There's no damn reason in the world you shouldn't be helping others get to their best, because you'll make memories like that. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, there have been times I've paced, you know, I got to angel pace at Moab last year for a person who happened to be um, the significant other of the daughter of my ham radio people at my aid station. And that connection wouldn't have happened with this dude from Canada, no less, that I'd only seen twice on the course up to that point.
That's awesome.
Um, if it wasn't for being at that aid station. And I ended up doing the last 40 miles with them. And Sam Waterhouse and I still talk about it all the time. And as I was doing my Bigfoot 200 this year, coming into the halfway point, feeling a little bit defeated, ready for a nap, I saw Sam, and I saw Sam and his partner again, and I just could not believe it. And they were there to cheer me on and provide the same encouragement. And that's just, it's another great story to tell. Like, you have to make great memories, because when all this stuff is gone, when your buckles are physical, your medals are physical, your times are physical, like, um, when all that is gone, all that's going to be left is these memories and moments. And uh, when, going back to the business, when things are said and done with this business, or said and done with us, wherever we are at that point, um, I want people to remember all the great memories that they made through our business and Run Try Bike, and through our community. Like that, I think is the best way I can describe how I want the legacy of our business to be.
Couldn't agree more. So you mentioned the Dalai Lama, and I got a smile on my face because we did talk about the Dalai Lama. We did talk about Bishop Tutu as well. Do you remember any of the other conversations from that pacing gig?
Do I remember any other conversations from that pacing gig?
Yeah. So while you're thinking, I'm going to remind you of one. And for those of you that are listening, this is how my brain works. We're headed towards the island aid station, and we're on this path. And I think to myself, how many people have walked along this path in the history of the world? And I don't know what it's got to be like midnight there, right? At that time by then,
Yeah.
you've been up for a day and a half basically. And we've been out in the desert for at that point probably about 7.5, 8 hours. And I asked you that question, and the
The,
only answer you gave me was a lot. I was like, okay, cool. Well, he's somewhat coherent. He said a lot, which is probably true.
a
But
lot.
that's how my brain works. I also asked you, if you recall, like, imagine being an explorer and you're heading out west, right? And you get to this point, it's hot, you're in your covered wagon with wooden wheels, you know, 20, 30 head of cattle, and you're like, yeah. And your 3 kids died of dysentery already. You're
Life was hard back in the West, the old West, man. I can't imagine settlers going through Moab.
You'd be like, this is it. This is the town we're settling because I'm not going over that mountain, man. Forget about it.
It makes me laugh in hindsight. Like, here we are, like, as painful as it is, like, here we are, like, making the call to pull the plug at the next aid station. And in hindsight, thinking about that in perspective with the settlers, they couldn't go to the fucking aid station,
Where are
and
they going? Right.
they just,
We
it's life or death.
we gotta ride. Well, first of all, we got to the aid station. We had food, we had heat, we had blankets, and then we got to ride back to town. Like, if you're a settler, you got nothing. You're just out there hoping that the bears don't come after you, I guess, right?
Or the
Rattlesnake.
coyotes, depending on who you ask.
There's another story that we have. So get back to this idea of having fun with this stuff. And I think like these stories that you and I are now sharing, which is the first time we've talked about them since we left Moab. Um, and it's something we're going to talk about for years to come. I think that's the key to the success of our business is that we're telling these stories and we're having fun with these sports and we're making our guests on our podcast shows laugh and we're making them feel seen and heard, as you mentioned about Josh Fernandez and their reaction to you interviewing them. I think it says a lot. I think there's another piece to it too, is that we respect people. Like we've referred to Josh as they and them. Those are the pronouns that they have asked us to use. And it's respectful to use the pronouns that they have asked us to use. No different than my name is Jason. And if you call me Jay, you had better be my best friend because that's not my name, right? Like Jason is my name, and I take that seriously. And so I think the fact that we show respect to our guests is also a thing. And I think that is seen in our audience growth. This year so far, we've got a 47% growth of audience since the start of the year. And our goal was to hit 40%. A large part of that is that every single platform is hitting the growth numbers that we had projected. But the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network, which was an idea I had about a year ago to do, but really was born out of your idea to even have a fireside chat. And so your idea to have a fireside chat led to EAPN, the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network, that we now have 7 shows on. Breaking news: we are looking at having 3 more shows added to our rotation in 2025. We're in discussions with 2 people to host different types of variety shows on our network, and looking for 1 more to get to 10 shows. And I think that's the other part of it, is there is a variety on our platform of faces, body sizes, paces, athleticism. And so that just means that there's something for everybody on our network. And I think it's a testament to the audience growth that we do have something for everybody on our platform.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And I'm just excited about the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network and all the things that have transpired with our business and the fact that we hold that space for everybody with everybody. Uh, Before we end things, I do want to circle back to one question from you that I do remember. And that was, did Ohm of the past ever think that you would be out in Moab, 80 miles in the middle of nowhere, being paced by a Puerto Rican kid from the Bronx when you yourself are a Indian kid from LA?
So,
And yeah, go ahead.
so I I'm going to answer this question. I'm laughing so hard, dude, because like, I'm not shitting you. Is like maybe 10 days ago, I said to Lori how proud of you I am from the person that I met at Coldwater. Um, Lori and I were volunteering there to man the camera at the 24-hour mark of the Coldwater Rumble 100 in Phoenix. And you were there. I believe you were going to pace a friend at that event. And it was the first time we were meeting in person. You were already managing the social media for us. You had shared your story on the platform. And I went to shake your hand and I walked away so unimpressed, like so unimpressed. I looked at Lori and I was like, that was the worst dead fish handshake I've ever gotten in my life. Like the worst, not even that, not hyperbole whatsoever, dude. And so like 10 days ago, I said to her, I said, I'm just so proud of the person that I get to see today and work with today and partner with today and develop ideas with today, because of the confidence that you have shown and grown into the person you are today. So to answer your question, there is no chance on this green earth I would have imagined me being a Puerto Rican kid from the Bronx, being in Moab, Utah. Like if you would have asked that kid, where's Moab, Utah? They'd be like, I don't fucking know. Like, how would I know where Moab, Utah is? I know where the pizza joint is. I know where Pizza Palace is. I don't know where Moab, Utah is. And then the idea that I'd be in the desert, pacing a business partner and a great friend through the desert in the middle of the night, while he's trying to achieve something that's hard to wrap your mind around, right? Running 3 200-mile races within 3 months of each other. Like, let's not kid each other here, man. That's hard shit. Really hard shit. And so there is zero chance that 12-year-old me, 13-year-old me would have been like, of course I'll be in the desert in the middle of the night after having founded my own company and running with a co-owner who's also an Indian kid from LA. Like, that story would never have been written by me, certainly.
I can tell you, it wouldn't have been written by me. I'm going after things that I didn't even know existed or couldn't even conceive 6 years ago, 7 years ago. So I'm just grateful and appreciate all of this.
Before we cut the owner's edition of this fireside chat, shout out to Joe Harden, who's commented on our Instagram feed that he's so damn proud to be part of the community and the RTB family. Dude, we're proud of you. We're proud of the shit that you have gone through. We're proud of the chances that you're taking on yourself to be a part of our Everyday Athlete podcast network, to put yourself out there for the woodworking that you do with not just actual products like this pen that I got from you, but the awards that you're putting out into the Midwest trail scene. We're proud of you, and we're thankful to have you on our team because you make us better on a daily basis. You make us better. So thank you for being a part of this ride that we're on. 2025 is going to be special, folks. We, like I said, we're looking to expand EAPN to about 10 shows. We are now on TikTok as well. We do have some brand partnerships in the works that should be announced somewhere towards the end of this year, heading into 2025, that will allow us to continue to grow, serve you as a media company, share your stories in whatever format you want to share your story in. By the way, if you want to write your story, please do that. If you want us to interview you for your story in the written word, let's do that. If you want to come on one of our shows, let's do that. We have something here for you, the everyday athlete, to share your story, because we know that your story will inspire others. And before you say, my story is not special, yes, it is. And I'll tell you why. There's only one of you. That makes the story special right then and there. There's only one of you. So get in touch with us. Let's get your story out there. Let's inspire and motivate others to keep going forward when the chips are down, even if it means you have to take 2 steps back before you go forward. That's my closing statement as the attorney I probably wish I should have been, and I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, before we close things out, I want to say that your story does matter, and that you are a person of value regardless of what your achievements are. And it's easy to use the words just, and it's easy to use the words doesn't matter, but both of those things could not be further from the truth. Take a chance. Take more than one chance, but start by taking that one chance, because you never know what that one decision will do to change your life. You can ask me, you can ask Jason, we can totally attest to that. You can ask Joe Harden about that. Just all it takes is one choice for you to live. I never believed that cliche quote that all it takes is one decision to live a completely different life, until it actually happened to me, not once, but twice, but many fucking times. And it's probably bound to happen again and again. So take a chance on yourself. And we're here to help you take that chance. So come tell your story with us.
Appreciate you guys stopping by. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate you watching. If you're getting this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, rate and review the show there. If you're getting it wherever you get your podcast, make sure you subscribe, rate and review there as well. Thank you very much for joining us. Be on the lookout for our next digital magazine, which drops on November 15th via our newsletter. So go to runtrimag.com and subscribe there as well. And be on the lookout. We've got some great giveaways going on. We've got the Topo Athletic Thursday Trivia that came out today. That's month long. So you've got a couple more entry opportunities in October. And we have the Catula giveaway, which couldn't be any simpler, folks. You're already posting your pictures and your videos of you running in the fall with the changing leaves, or if you're here in SoCal, the fact that it's just cooler at this point, tag Run Try Mag on whatever platform you're on, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win either gaiters or traction spikes of your choice from Catula. So make sure you get on that too. Have a great Thursday evening. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you next week at our regularly scheduled time on Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Have a great one.